when the man in your life, when he doesn't quite have emotional safety skills to the extent that you need for your relationship and for yourself, how can you both gauge his ability to develop them and at the same time both develop them for yourself and feel out that area of if he can't do, if he really can't, knowing how to transition yourself into a better situation without, while still going the third way, not having to make a super hard decision.
It has nothing to do with him. And once you learn how to do this, you take it with you all through your life. Does that help? So, using so many examples. Hi, Eva.
Hi.
All right, so what I'm going to be talking about is essentially how to gauge if a man can hold the space for you for a sanctuary relationship and be a safe place for you, and how to gauge if the man you're with is that way, and what to do if he's not, essentially. So it's a procedural. So we can do this on several lives because it's a big procedural. And I think we all have stories that we could tell. But let's just say it starts with you and your ability to, when you feel unsafe for the first time, and what you should always kind of assume is that you're going to bounce around between feeling safe with a guy and feeling suspicious and feeling all blocked and armored because of your background. You're going to be bouncing around with all those things. And the key word here is vulnerability and transparency too, so that you get used to doing that by little tiny, not too scary things like, how's the weather? Not just, oh, it's 98 degrees here, but it feels all surrounding and muggy. That's not too scary to your subconscious. So you can start that way. That's the whole Rori Raye method, starting with things that are innocuous. So your defense system's not going to go, and start dropping walls down between you and him, right? So what you want to do is practice that separately with other people and with really innocuous subjects, how your day was, what happened at work. You don't want to just report those things. You want to practice your poetry, your feminine energy, poetic feeling voice. So you start doing that in general and by yourself and by practicing out there, and you start doing it with him. Now, either he just kind of responds warmly and he opens up, or he shuts down and says, I don't care about your feelings, and he's actually defensive. You notice that, or he's neutral, like, and then he keeps talking about himself, which is, I think, is the most common one. And then he talks about himself. So let's look at those three options. I just broke it down right then. So there's probably more, but let's go with those three. Either he warmly opens up, which is, puts that safety into your brain, and you notice that, log it in. Whoa, I did that and I felt safe. He responded warmly and squarely and openly. Or he just went, and then talked about himself. So you thought, oh, he's a narcissistic bore. All right, not true. He just has no idea what he's doing. And the third one is he got defensive and he goes, I don't care about your feelings. He actually states, I'm not a safe place. He's actually saying, hey, I'm not a safe place. Don't do that anymore. All right, so obviously if you're married to this guy or in a long relationship, you want to work that one out, right? And if it's a first date and he acts like that, you kind of want to brush him off. But let's practice working it out, right? So is that a good place to start working it out? So working it out would be, you are feeling untouched. You're feeling lonely. He's been away, or you've been locked down with COVID, or you've been sick and he can't come near you for a week, or whatever it is, and the warmth and the touch and the connection is lost. So how do you gain that back? You go up and you say, I feel so lonely and untouched. I just can't wait to hug you. I can't wait to feel you. Or you're over Zoom and you're a partial long distance. I can't wait to feel you. I can't wait to feel touched. I can't wait to feel, it's my dog. Can't wait to feel connected. and you see what he does. He says, oh, me too. I really look forward. How was your day? And he opens up to you, and he's, bouncing the ball back and forth. By the way, I see a series on TV, which is all about on my Roku. It just showed up, and it was about people on the autism scale finding love, and how a trainer came and literally rolled a ball back and forth between them to teach them how to have a conversation. I say something, you say something. I say something, you say something. A lot of men seem to be on that autism spectrum because they do not know how to roll the ball back. They literally don't. And what we have to do is a lot of, instead of speculation and wondering, and you have to try it out. You have to roll the ball back, and then you have to ask for it back to you. All those things. Yeah, you have to do it. Sorry. Brilliant men are not, just sprinkled when you are first learning how to do this. Once you get good at it, there'll be more of a downpour of these guys. And the guy you're with will suddenly open up and feel safe, or he'll show himself as an unsafe man, and then you go. Okay? So basically that was the beginning. And what you do is you say, hi, I'm feeling this. And you see how he responds. One of those three ways: defensive. Yeah, sure. And then he talks about himself, narcissism flag, or he's open and he starts rolling the back and forth ball back to you. And then you roll it back to him. And then he rolls it back to you. And you express a feeling as if he is safe. This is where you take your leap, as if he is safe. Yeah, you feel a suspicion, you feel this and that. You don't give something to him. That's what we usually do. We make dinner for him. We give. That feels safer to us than expressing a feeling we have. Really note that in your head. And that is the key. You start rolling the ball back to him through a, I feel this. Roll the ball. And he picks up the ball and he goes, either, wow, you look so pretty when you said that. That's really interesting. What more happened? And he rolls the ball back. Or he says, oh yeah, me too. Yesterday, this happened to me and this happened to me. And you go, and you start to clam up and shut down. Don't do that. Next time he does roll the ball back, you do it again. I'm feeling kind of like I'm not being heard. Big step. I really like to talk about myself. I would really like it if you heard my story. I would really like to talk about my day. Can you hear that? Before you get to, are you a selfish asshole?
Ooh.
Before you get to, are you a narcissistic idiot? Clunk? No,
Yeah.
I would really like to talk about this. So first steps, that's how you do it. And then
Here's-
you discover whether or not he's safe.
That's so great. And all of the practice that we find ourselves doing and inviting ourselves to do before it gets to the high stakes situations where we're shoveling out blame and all the icky feelings on our partner. Here's a question that just came up. What if your partner starts to make jokes that are sarcastic and mean? Like last date, in the middle of traffic, the guy started saying how this was our date and did I like it? This construction site, the cars, he was saying he is providing it for me. He's doing it for me in a mean sounding way. So like when you get all triggered, like I think there may be some cases where situations where the humor, that sense of humor just doesn't land. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But more often than not, we find ourselves triggered. What can we do in a situation where a man is getting into that space?
I love that question. I'd like to start and then feed it on to Eva and to you. First of all, I have a story. My first husband was like that. He was sense of humor and barbed. It was like throw darts at you with humor. And I didn't know what to do with it. I was a closed down, automatic running, robotic person. I had no idea what to do. And at the beginning, my own husband could easily fall into that, why did you do that? Or, yeah. And it took me a long time. And even now, I have to really stop and focus when I hear something from someone or my husband that feels kind of, off. It feels kind of the wrong emotion for the space. It feels like a barb. I go, wait a minute. What's causing him to do that? Why would, yeah, out of nowhere? And then I realize he's uncomfortable. He's feeling guilty. He's feeling shame. He's feeling all kinds of horrible feelings from his woundedness. And we could talk about woundedness forever. But, I was already married. So, I'm going to deal with his woundedness as opposed to taking on a very wounded man on a date, past a date. So, expressing what makes him feel guilty. And then what he does when he feels bad is he lashes out. I think most men are like that, actually. They're because it's okay in society for men to be angry, right? Not for women. So we women do other things. We do passive aggressive shit. I can swear here on Siren Island, I can do all kinds of
Yeah.
we can do all kinds of stuff here. When we're feeling angry, that's what you coaches have to deal with a lot, is the buried rage that comes out comes out sideways. That's what we talk about, coming out sideways. Well, for men, it comes out into anger. And what comes out sideways is their guilt and their shame. Shame is big with men. Oh, so big. They need to be men. And as soon as they've done something wrong, like taken you into a construction zone, he feels, because maybe some other woman said, what a jerk you are, all this noise or when dust and everything. And so he made a sarcastic remark that was meant to deflect the feelings he has for himself, not to hurt you. And once you start to recognize that, then you do the thing, which is, whoa, I kind of like big diggers. I kind of like big construction stuff. I kind of like that kind of stuff. I mean, not 20 hours a day, but to pass through, it's kind of interesting watching the cranes. He'll just go, what? Who are you? If that's true. If it's not, it goes, I'll close my window. It's like, really? Are you going to get upset because you drove through a construction zone? No, nobody is going to. That's not his fault. What's the difference? But he's taking it in. So you just go, whoa, this is my feeling in the moment, not the past one, but this is mine. I'm okay with this. And he'll go, oh. And then if he does it again, you go, I'm okay with the atmosphere that you brought me here. I'm okay with this club. I like the singer. I don't hate this drummer. I'm, whatever it is, the movie's not terrible. I like being with you, all that sort of stuff. And you say, what I don't like is when I feel anger coming from you. That feels very uncomfortable. I understand that, the sarcasm is, part of your stuff. Is there some way we could work through that? I'm sure I have things you're going to hate too. And that's how you start. Eva, you got something to say?
Well, what's coming up for me is like what we talk about in the Siren Circle, the adventure of things.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
Seeing that this is an adventure, and it's, how can I turn it around? How can I receive that and open up and hold the space? Because feminine energy is receiving. So it is also receiving this kind of, well, even anger coming at you. So you can be open and stay open and receive that and go, wow, this feels weird, but I'm in an adventure at the moment. Let's see where he's taking me. And once you sort of got into that and let that run through you, and if you're still feeling weird and this feels strange and I don't like it, of course you should speak it and say, this feels weird to me. I don't feel comfortable when you talk like that. It can be also, there are moments I think we had also discussions on Siren Island where the guy says something which we don't like, and we want to correct him. And that's the same kind of thing. It's like, yeah, well, I don't feel comfortable, period. We don't have to explain it.
We don't. And that was very true and very interesting. And I want to just add on top of it. When we say, I feel uncomfortable, man, guess what's going to happen? He's going to feel worse. He's going to feel guilty and shame. I made her uncomfortable and blame and blah, blah, blah. So what we want to do is be very aware of how that is a tough conversation for a man. And we don't want to throw it out in the middle of a date or a middle of a thing in that way. You know, we want to say, you know, when you're on a first date with a guy and he's dominating the conversation, yeah, take a fire. Go, hey, you know, I feel very uncomfortable when men dominate the conversation. I feel very, you know, I want to talk about myself. I want an equal part of this. And I understand that I feel nervous too. I feel nervous. I understand, you know, but that's a big thing. And when you say, you know, I feel uncomfortable, that is the right word. And you want to do it. I'm going to sneeze. So if you're with a guy and married to a guy, this is the beginning of a very difficult conversation, what you just said, which is, you know, I don't feel comfortable when this happens. How can we fix that? So with this guy driving by the construction zone, then it could be, you know, can we talk about something sort of difficult relationship wise and who I am and stuff? And he'll go, okay, did I do something wrong? Is usually what he'll say. You say, yo, you're wonderful. Nothing's your fault. Everything's great. I just wanted to let you know how I operate, which is when anybody gets upset or angry for any reason, I immediately feel triggered. I immediately feel like I did something wrong. It's my fault and I want to shut down. So is there something I can say when that happens to me that would help our conversation?
That's huge. That is so big. That's such a huge depending on where you're at and where your partner's at and that whole dynamic, and there's a possibility for growth for yourself as well as for whichever man is in front of you. You know, like even separating yourself from, he's upset, I can feel that anger and it's affecting me. There may be times where you find you can vibe with that and get playful. There may be times where you can sit in that space and invite him into your world. Wow, I want to just brush this off. And yes. I do notice that I do get pretty churned up and disturbed when we have moments like this, and I'm not sure how to fix it. That's what I want to do. I want to fix it for you, or I want to tell you that I feel uncomfortable and I'm not really sure what we can do to bridge this space so it feels better for both of us. Because it's not your fault, you know, the traffic, all of this, it's not your fault. I'm pretty happy just being with you, you know, and
that is awesome. And I'm gonna make a transcript of this because Natalie, the scripts you gave, and Eva, the scripts you gave are perfect. And I want to make sure they have those scripts. Eva, tell me more about this tough conversation, because you seem to have a real good pulse on it.
Well, if it was a first date, I wasn't sure if this was a first date that was referred to, but if it was a first date, of course, it's better not to go into the tough conversations, but still you don't want to stuff your feelings.
Right.
So when he says that, it would be wise to just, as I said before, receive it and receive it and be like, okay, I can be with this. I can be with this anger or this confusion coming at me, breathing it in, feeling it in your body, and turn inward and feel what's going on in me right now. Because chances are pretty big that he will stop saying those things if you keep quiet and focusing on how do I feel, what's going on in my heart.
All right, give me some scripts about what you could say to him in that car. You know, because
I would probably say something like, I hear you, and it sounds like you're well, no, I hear you, and I wasn't feeling uncomfortable. If I was feeling uncomfortable even before he said it, I would probably say something. Yeah, it feels a little bit weird to be out here on a construction site. But if I was happy, I would probably rather say, well, it feels good that you let me know how you feel about it.
Oh, that was good. All right, how about like a closing, which is like, thank you for caring about how my comfort level, or something like that.
I was looking at the comment. He was saying he's providing for me, and she feels that it's said with a mean touch. Well,
I'm providing for you. Well, that's hey, you know, there's no assumption to be made. I mean, maybe she said you're providing for me, and he's using that as a sarcastic thing, but it's all truly about his feeling guilt and shame and blame, self-blame.
Yeah.
He's not.
He probably wanted to make a better date than it turned out, and so yeah.
So you don't want to stuff down your feelings in order to make him feel better. I think that's the syndrome we women get caught up in. You know you have a sensitive man. You know you got a man who responds, who's wounded, right? And every time something happens, he goes into that. And it makes you crazy because you feel like he's the delicate one, right? And he's going to respond with anger and stuff like that. Oh dear, we have to go within 3 minutes or so. And he's going to respond with anger, right? Or sarcasm, or one of those things. So yeah, so what I would do under those circumstances is we start to not like a guy like that. We start to divide ourselves into, he's not, he does this all the time. He's weak. He's, he can't handle that, and then the other part of us that cannot deal with the emotion of that disregard for him. And so we come out snarky some of the time. Some women come out snarky. I'm not a snark woman, really. That's not how it comes out. I come out as people pleasing, which is, oh, honey, I'm so sorry, or this, or stuff. In other words, if a guy is super sensitive and being the girl in that moment in some way for you, then you feel the need to go into masculine energy. Well, that's where we all get stuck, because most women who are in this environment with us are like us. We're type A, people pleasers and overfunctioners. Like, oh, I'll make you a nice bath. I'll make you some nice dinner. Can we do something fun? Can I get you out of this mood? But the truth is, we're just trying to control the situation because that mood he's in is making us feel terrible. And we're angry about that. How dare you mess me up my day? And then be all this sensitive stuff, right? Am I hitting the nail? So, right on the head. And so we start to feel resentful, and then we lose interest in him, and we get mad at him. And then a second he pulls away, we want him again. It becomes this thing that's very superficial. So you have to start going down at some point. Like Eva says, you have to start knowing when you're uncomfortable. And you're going to start unearthing a lot of anger at that point. And you have to notice it and go, whoa, fuel for my bravery to express my feeling. And you go down further into, I'm brave. I'm going to go, when this happens, I don't feel good. And in the meantime, it's real simple. You just walk away. He goes all wounded and you go, oh, I'm so sorry you feel that way. And you turn around and you go out and you go have some fun somewhere. That is the first step in recognizing how you are being triggered and how you're not able to express that to him yet. And then you figure out what you want to say. And then we have to do a high stakes conversation redo after, which is, hey, remember yesterday when all that came out? Do you remember? I hope that feels better and everything. And I sort of walked away and all that. And I go, I don't remember. So, could we have a conversation about that? And he'll go, what do you mean? Did I do something wrong? No, you didn't do anything wrong. I felt triggered and I wanted to express that. So maybe you can help me. Can you see the difference in the everybody being in attack mode? He's in attack mode in the first place. So then we attack back because we're all grumbly inside. So I hope that was really helpful. Anybody want to say anything else, Natalie or Eva?
It's just really, really good.
Yeah.
Taking apart or giving ourselves space when something feels high stakes so that we can grow those skills together in our relationship and ourselves and a partnership with a complete stranger. There's so many other options that we usually don't see, and especially when we're in a triggered or irritation, even when it's not so directed at us, we pick up on it and we panic. But knowing what other options we have, that can be so big.